Welcome in, everybody. It is a pleasure to have you on board Pro Football Plus. I am Ben Parker here with Shane and Austin, as we do every week. They're always good to be our panel and get through all sorts of shenanigans. We are looking forward to Thanksgiving. I hope you are. Hope you're going to get a good place to eat it and maybe enjoy some football this week as well. So thank you for hopping in. We got our lead stories tonight. We're going to have a Thanksgiving food draft. We've got all kinds of things to get to. I've even got an extra guessing game that I hadn't even told the guys about, so we're going to mix that in as well. But first, we're going to start off with our lead stories, and my first one for the night is the snow globe game. I don't know how many of you in the audience actually got to watch this. If you didn't, you should go back on YouTube. I'd watch it, especially the late second quarter and the third quarter and the fourth quarter. This game was a blast. I love snow games. I always have. I have always, my whole life, loved watching snow games and getting to watch the Steelers and the Browns do this, especially the way it was coming down there in Cleveland, was just fantastic. It's beautiful aesthetically. Getting to watch these two specific teams mush around in the snow. And then get to watch Jameis Winston. I mean, I could go back a long time on Jameis here, but he's the happiest he's ever been, I think. And to have him pull off the upset here against the Steelers was quite a night on Thursday Night Football. Shane, I'm gonna kick it to you. I don't know if you share my same joy for snow games since you get so much of it up there in your part of the country. But how'd you feel about this one in particular?
Well, I will say, as the one that probably sees the most snow out of this panel, I do love snow games, but I also agree with you. Like, for me, weather is always something where I want it to affect things. Like, if it's just raining a little bit, that's a waste of my time. If it snows just a little bit, again, waste of my time. But the snow was calming down during this game. And, so they always had to be out there clearing the lines off. Like you said, Jameson Winston was just having a great time. I always like this. I love offensive line play. So I think in these games like this, you get to see those guys do even more what they do. It's the dancing bears out there when it's slippery and sloppy. And I thought it was a great game. I mean, a huge game for Myles Garrett. I mean, if he doesn't show you what he can do defensively against an entire team, I don't know what else to say against that game. Because, I mean, he absolutely shut down Pittsburgh by himself.
Yeah, big loss for Pittsburgh. Austin, how do you like the snow game? And then any thoughts on this game in particular?
Yeah, snow games aren't my bread and butter. As a lot of people might know, I'm a big fan of receiving and passing offense, and there doesn't tend to be a whole lot of that in snow games, but I really enjoy the moments of those during a snow game. Uh, I thought it was funny though. Jameis Winston seemed to be thriving in the snow game. And I mean, he's
Good.
just thriving in general in life right now, it seems like. I mean, that's got to be one of the most happy people I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's funny because he was like, he grew up in Alabama, played college football at Florida State, played his first several years in the NFL in Tampa Bay, and then went to New Orleans. So, like, at what point has he like kind of been accustomed to this cold weather and the snow? Like, I don't know if at any point in his career, like, there's no where he would have kind of gotten this appreciation for snow, but he seemed to be really loving it, and he thrived in it as well.
Yeah, we've seen that before, right? Some guys who never grew up in it, never colleged in it, never even NFL'd in it, get in it and they love it. And you're like, I don't know. I guess there's something about them just born for it, and they just really kick it into high gear. I remember Jameis Winston back when he was just an immature guy at Florida State. You talk about doing some dumb stuff, but he seems to have matured over the years, and he's still a happy guy. Maybe the happiest. It looks to be the happiest he's ever been. I mean, this guy is just like a Christmas tree out here in the snow, man. So really fun game. Big loss for the Steelers, though. We'll see if they can come back from that after this kind of extended stretch here the next time they get on the field. Let's move on here. Shane, I'm going to hit us up with our headlines, but you tell me what's your next lead story of the week.
So my next lead story is something we've talked about a little bit this year, but it's old running backs in new places. The top three rushers in the NFL are all running backs that have changed teams over the last year. So you have Saquon Barkley from the Giants to Philadelphia, Derrick Henry from Tennessee to the Ravens, who came away with a big win this week. And then the last one is Jacobs switching from the Raiders over to Green Bay. They're all right in that 1,200, 1,300 yard range right now. But to think that their teams, and I'm not even going to say that some of those decisions weren't the right decision, because I think like in the Derrick Henry, it was Tennessee did need to move on. But if you're the Giants and your season's gone this bad and you see what Saquon Barkley has done for Philadelphia, especially in division, has to make you sick. And I think Jacobs, he played so long for the Raiders where he was just doing, yeoman's work, and the team can never put it in around him. To see him again on an offense that takes care of him, lets him run out of some great formations, has people blocking for him. Those guys are just really stuck out to me. And then getting to see Henry have a game, and like I said, Saquon Barkley is having a career resurgence this year of all those guys.
Yeah, I've got Barkley here on the headlines here. Barkley is just absolutely unstoppable. Goodness gracious. I mean, this game, this season, we all knew he was good. We all knew he was upper tier. But, man, goodness gracious. If it weren't for him, the Eagles, I don't know what kind of record they'd be. They wouldn't be anything like they are right now. He is totally changing their whole season, their whole direction this year. Austin, what you got for your headliner, man?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about what the Giants did in releasing. Well, I mean, it was on his request, but I don't know what the Giants' deal is right now. The whole quarterback fiasco and letting go of Saquon, it's all just blowing up in their face. Not that I ever thought it wouldn't. From moment as soon as that contract was signed by Daniel Jones, I think a lot of people, myself included, knew it was a mistake. But it's blown up in their face so bad. I don't know what they thought was going to happen putting in anyone other than Daniel Jones, especially someone that, in my opinion, is a downgrade. I'm speaking negatively about Daniel Jones, but he is a very low end caliber starting quarterback still, I think. He might be the 28th best quarterback in the National Football League. Going from that to anyone else that's not a starting caliber quarterback like Tommy DeVito, or, I mean, honestly, Drew Lock might be able to compete, but yeah, it was just a bad move. I really don't know what the point of it was. Obviously, that money that they spent on Daniel Jones should have gone to Saquon Barkley first and foremost, and then the rest of it to their defense, because the defense is bad. They lost some really good players who are thriving and shining in other defenses now. And I mean, Drew Lock is probably who I would go with the rest of the season, just because I think he does have a bit of arm talent. It's a mental thing with him. It's similar to Darnold, when he left the Jets and kind of found his footing. It's mostly mental with Drew Lock. But yeah, I just think it's absurd, the whole saga of what the Giants have done over the last 3 years, really.
It's one bad decision after another, and bad decisions have a way of doing that to you. They put you in tougher situations where you're kind of not going to have any good choices to make, and it kind of leads you into further bad decisions. So, yeah, even going back 2 or 3 years here, you can trace it. I think it's going to cost Brian Dable his job. I actually think Dable's a heck of a coach and a good play caller, and I think he's the guy, but I don't see how he pulls it off here. I just don't see how, with the way the team is just nosediving completely. It doesn't sound like, I know what the organization came out and said, and I'm just not buying it. I'm campaigning for them to keep Dable, sign him to a 2-year extension here, and just let him be part of the next rebuild here. I'm just not sure it's going to happen. More highlights here. The Chiefs moved to 10-1, but my question coming out of this game, I'll let y'all hop on it here in a second if you want to after I move through these highlights, is how good is Kansas City and how good is Carolina? I've got a pretty good handle on some of these NFL teams. Kansas City is one of the worst 10-1 teams I've ever seen. Goodness gracious. They look worse than last year when they actually had a worse record at this time of year. really struggling. Carolina now with the 2 wins in the past 3 or 4 weeks and gave Kansas City basically all they could handle by the end of this game. Bryce Young putting it back together. That was a fascinating game. The Cowboys upset the Commanders. This was wild and crazy fourth quarter, but I really, really, really like the way the Dallas Stars stepped up and were hustling in this game. You could see it right from the get-go. Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb and everybody, parts of that defense coming back together again. You could see they were engaged. They were in it. They were after it. They were aggressive. They were intelligent. They really gave Washington all they could handle and then survived that crazy fourth quarter to actually win the darn thing in Washington. So I can't say enough for the Dallas Stars there working their way back into things here late in the season. Dallas is dangerous to some degree, even though they're not going to make the playoffs. The Dolphins over the Patriots, Miami, they're quietly kind of starting to heat up again. Everybody's been pointing to them, but here they go. They're really starting to cook a little bit here. We'll see what they can do with that at the tail end of the season. The Vikings moved to 9-2. But what I liked about this game was Thomas Brown working with Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams kind of had that second half explosion. A little slow in the first half, but by second half, you saw him put it all together. 2 weeks now, Thomas Brown has done nothing but be good for Caleb Williams. So watch out for that here over the next few weeks. And then we are talking about the Eagles, but the Seahawks smothering the Cardinals. I've been calling the Seahawks frauds all year. And here they are in first place, baby, in their division, ahead of the 49ers, ahead of the Cardinals right now because of tie break, ahead of the Rams. Seattle's in first place. We'll see if they can hang on to it. This has been nip and tuck all the way here for the West. Shane, I'll kick it to you again one more time. Anything you want to comment here on the board before we move on?
I mean, the one that stuck out to me, and you've kind of already hit on it, is that Eagles and Rams game. The offensive line for Philadelphia just kind of showing its dominance again. St. Louis, or say St. Louis, the Rams get caught up in these games where their offense is just trying to make up for what they can't do defensively. And it's, you hate to see it if you're a Rams fan, but as someone who doesn't have like a horse in that race, just seeing Matthew Stafford go out there sometimes and make some of the throws that he is one of the only quarterbacks that can make. First down completion he threw to Puka Nacua on that sideline throw, a great catch by Nacua, but also a ball that, he shouldn't have been able to get it in there. But Stafford will stand back there and take hits and still has an absolute cannon after all these years and the amount of beatings that they never got him in offensive line in Detroit. So that was one of the games that popped up to me. Like I said, you saw Saquon Barkley just running, huge offensive line in Philadelphia. Another guy that people had kind of forgot about, Mekhi Becton, when he was with the Jets, he was just a overweight, huge draft mistake. Philadelphia moves him inside, plays him at guard, and now they have one of the bigger and most physical offensive lines, and they use that against the Rams to just kind of eat up the clock and punish them to win that game.
Absolutely. That offensive line is incredible. Even if Barkley's not in there, they still got a chance every game because that offensive line is so good. Austin, any final thoughts here on this board? Anything else?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on more of the positive side of the Panthers rather than the negative side of the Chiefs, because the Panthers are playing really good football right now, and it's got a lot of people excited around my neck of the woods. Bryce Young looks comfortable in the pocket. That's the number one most important thing right now. That's a good offensive line. He made them look horrible early in the season. I think it was shown when he was benched that, hey, this offensive line is capable. Bryce Young is just not using it the right way, and he's putting them in tough situations, and he has kind of figured out how to settle down, and that's super important. And then I just wanted to touch on, I think, next season, what can be done to improve this team. I think first and foremost, you got to fix this defensive line. They cannot get off of the passer very well, and they cannot even remotely stop the run. And so that's really the big two things, I think, is fix this defensive front first and foremost. And this team's going to be able to win 4 or 5 ball games next year pretty easily, I think. And then the Panthers, like they like to do, will upset one, maybe 2 teams a year. But I think this team could rapidly improve as long as Bryce Young remains confident and comfortable in the pocket.
Agreed. And I love to see it just for Bryce Young's own life and health and everything that, hey, he can't get in here and compete, even if he's never great. Maybe he'll be great. But for now, I just love seeing that he's back in there and comfortable again. Love to see it. And you're right. One season, you can turn right around and compete as a team. So there's no question about it. They could turn right back around next year and do it. Let's move on to our matchup of the week. Before we do that, I didn't even tell the guys yet, but Shane has basically already won this championship. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to him. I'll explain why. He's at 72 goats and cheeses right now. And me and Austin are at 16 and 13 respectively. Put us together, we still don't equal half of what Shane's got. So even if we did a bet tonight, Shane would basically have to risk more than half of what he's got. And I'm just not going to set that up tonight. So, Shane, congratulations, man. You're going to pick up your second championship here. And you earned it, buddy. Way to go.
Thank you. After a disappointing run last year, I either get a first or last, it seems. So I'll take 2 championships out of a 3-year run. So.
All right. Well, we got another championship coming up right about the time about the last week of the season. Well, last week of the regular season, we're going to start another one and run it all the way through the playoffs. And every week we'll just pick not every game, but every significant game, and then every playoff game, and we'll see what we get for the 4th championship. All right. Here we go. Our matchup of the week. It is the Cardinals heading to Minnesota. This will be on the 1:00 window. Pretty good game here on Fox. Vikings right now at 9-2. They're a 3.5-point favorite last I checked. That could have changed, so make sure you check it. As usual, I'm going to run through all the statistics on these guys, the vital signs, if you will, and then Shannon also talk about what they think will happen in this game. First of all, offensive EPA, Cardinals, they're number 9 in the league. The Vikings are 13th. That actually surprised me. I thought Minnesota would be a little bit better than that, but that's where they are at the moment. Points per game, Cardinals drop to 16, and the Vikings move up to 9th. Total yards per game, Cardinals are at 15th, Vikings at 10. Passing yards per game, Arizona checks in at 23rd, Minnesota checks in at 10th. Rushing yards per game, Arizona's been doing this all year, running the football. It really sets the table for everything else they do. They're 6th on it right now. Vikings are at 15th. Over on the defensive side of things, defensive EPA, Cardinals at 24th. Not a great defense. We know that. They're not terrible, but they're not good. Vikings check in at 1st. EPA really loves Minnesota. Points per game allowed, the Cardinals are at 11th, while the Vikings are at 5th. Yards allowed, Cardinals 18, Vikings 11. Vikings continue to show what they can do on defense. Passing yards allowed per attempt, Arizona's at 19, not too bad. Minnesota checks in at 16th on that category. Pretty close on that, but here's where it starts to get back in again, the difference. Arizona is 15th in the league in rushing yards allowed per carry. Minnesota checks in at number 2 in the league. They just do not let you run the football in big chunks when you're up against them. Shane, what do you think is going to happen in this game?
So, I mean, you talked about it as one of your big stories, Ben. The Seahawks really managed to shut down the Cardinals. And until that game last week, as much as a Cardinal hater as I will continue to be, I really thought the Cardinals had a shot in this game. Their offense seemed to be really clicking. I thought the defense was, as you mentioned, it's not great, but it's middle ground in a lot of those categories where, you know, if they have a good game, it shows up a little bit. They may give up more passing yards, but they've been, you know, a comparable NFL defense. I think after this Seattle game, I would be worried that the Vikings don't completely dominate this one. I think the Vikings have a better defense than Seattle. I think they play up to teams. And I think the offense for the Vikings has the ability to explode on them way more than the Seahawks offense. So in this one, I picked the Vikings, and I think it's not going to be close this week.
I'm inclined to agree with a lot of that. I'll come back on my side. Austin, your Vikings, what you feeling here?
Yeah, I mean, not to toot our own horn, but the Vikings are probably the best run defense in football right now. All the numbers love them. PFF especially There are only 3 teams graded 80 or above against the run. That's the Ravens, the Browns, who are at 80 and 82.9, and the Vikings are over 4 points higher than the next closest at an 87.1. So it's like PFF loves the Vikings run defense. All the advanced metrics love the defense, and it's like you said, they don't give up chunk plays at all, and that's because of players like Joshua Metellus and Cam Bynum, who just seem to wrap up anybody who gets past that first level. Um, and that's, I mean, that's the key to stopping this Cardinals. If you can maintain the run, you can kind of keep them at bay with their big play ability down the field, because that's what they do. They like to run the ball on you and then throw chunk plays down the field. So stopping the run's the first part of that equation. I think the Vikings will be able to do that. I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if it's kind of a beat down and we see a similar number, single digits potentially even from the Cardinals.
2 people for the Vikings. I'll go ahead and make it 3 here as well. I am picking Minnesota to win. I'm going to pick it to be a little bit closer than that, only because Arizona has been able to run the football this year. So I'm really interested to see Arizona's good run game against the Vikings' really good stopping the run game. Can Arizona even get a decent amount of yards here, or do they just totally get shut down here? So I'm curious to see that. I'm also curious to see Drew Petzing, who is the Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator. He's done a good job this year. I want to see if he can kind of make some adjustments here, coming off of a bad week and a bad loss in which they didn't have much going on. So you have a quarterback here with Kyler Murray who can throw it and run it. You've got a good running game. You've got Marvin Harrison out here. You've got a couple of people to throw the football here with Trey McBride. You have things to work with, so you really don't have an excuse to just say, hey, good defense this week. You know, we're going to be bad this week. I want to see Petzing step it up here, mix it up a little bit, figure out a way to get some points on the board. If you can do that, get a little pressure on Sam Darnold, maybe you have a chance. But I am also going to pick Minnesota to win this game on Sunday. Moving on here, scramble drill. Our guessing game for both the guys, Austin and Shane. They've actually been doing an outstanding job at this. I don't tell them each week what's coming. They find out when you guys, the audience, finds out. This is going to be the hardest one of the year so far. Okay, I don't mean for it to be hard. I pick out topics I'm interested in. So this week I'm interested in third down conversions. Who's good at it? Who's not good at it? Who's good at converting on third downs and who isn't? So this is third down conversion percentage. Okay, regardless of yardage, regardless of EPA, this is just who's converting their most third downs. The leader is 52.7%. The worst is 27% in the league. These are the helmets. They're all mixed up. I've got all 9 teams here. So I've got the 3 best in the league, the 3 worst in the league, and 3 right from the middle of the pack on this. So, guys, I apologize if this is going to be such a hard one, but we'll see how you do. Have at it. Take it away.
Oof.
Okay. The Chiefs are going to be pretty high up here.
Mm-hmm.
They're that's like their saving grace this year on offense has been their ability to get it done on third downs.
I think the Chargers probably are right about where they are. They're normally in short yardage. He's done a good job of converting. I would think Detroit would probably be up there as well, or Green Bay is probably not terrible. I think the only one that sticks out to me offensively on the downgrade would probably be Jacksonville. I can't imagine they're a high grade for third down.
No, yeah, I would imagine them being more towards the bottom. Cleveland also has got to be towards the bottom. I mean, they're just a bad team overall. I don't know who the third team I would put at the bottom is, because the rest of the teams are pretty good. I think, God, okay, let's put the Chiefs at first. I think they're going to be the best.
Okay.
See, I like a good run game. I think on third down's important. Oh, and a good quick passing game. Which makes me think Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Lions third then.
Yeah.
I would almost prefer the Lions over the Chargers. Would you want to swap? I don't know.
I thought you were gonna say second to third. I think the
Yeah.
Chargers are probably a little bit lower down because they haven't. I think Detroit gets themselves in better position all the time. So it's
Yeah.
like you said, the passing game, their short passing game with Amon-Ra St. Brown puts you in a
Mhm.
better spot.
And then yeah, for the middle, I like the Bucks in the middle. I like the Packers in the middle. Um, and then Steelers and Rams, one of those, it's gonna be one of those two. I don't know who you like more.
I think it's probably going to be Steeler. The Rams offensively this year have not
Yeah, that's true. They
been
missed a
the
lot
same
of
team they have
yeah.
been. Yeah,
Okay, so you want to go Bucks, Packers, Steelers for the middle row?
sure.
Bucks, Packers, Steelers. Yeah, I can get down with that.
I've looked at the list and I don't even remember. I think y'all are right on at least 4 of these based on what I remember. So
Yeah,
just a quick wrap up session here. Y'all like the Cardinals, the Lions, and the Chargers as the upper 3.
the
Definitely the
Chiefs.
Jaguars and Browns. Yeah, sorry, Chiefs, Lions, and Chargers. Definitely the Jaguars and the Browns at the bottom,
Hmm.
with the Rams pulling in there, and then the middle tier floating around to be Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay. Any last second changes before we do the reveal?
Looks good to me.
All right, probably as good as we're gonna get. I wouldn't be very good at this either, so let's see how y'all did. Chiefs, exactamundo. Lions, they are 46.8%, so the Lions will check in at third. The Buccaneers, bit of a surprise here. I'm going to go ahead and send them right on up here. They're at number 2. The Browns, you got that right. They're the worst in the league. The Rams are second worst in the league, so you
Wow.
got that in the right tier anyway. And the Jaguars are third worst in the league. So you got a couple of those right. We'll switch around the helmets to where they go so our audience can see it a little bit better. You got the bottom 3 for sure, and 2 of the top 3, which means what? You got two of the middle 3 as well, right? Yeah. So
Hmm.
Chargers and Packers and Steelers. So that's pretty good, man. For third down conversion rates, which can be tricky, right? You can be a decent team and suck at third down conversions.
Hmm.
I think y'all did pretty good. What do y'all think?
Yeah,
We didn't give Baker enough credit for what he's been able to do.
yeah. I mean, I had them top of. I mean, yeah. I mean that he's been super good this year. Baker deserves all the flowers we're able to give him, I think.
And then the Rams turning out, I would not have predicted the Rams to be that bad. Now, I have
I
watched
didn't either.
them and watched them suffer a little bit on offense, just not being able to get things going points wise. But I did not realize they were that bad until I looked at the list. So, all right, let's move on. We're going to do a little bit of a Thanksgiving Day thing here. So, this is going to be a little sloppy, but I don't care. It is what it is. I've got all kinds of foods up here. Put y'all right in the middle here. I've got all kinds of foods up here. And we're going to do a Thanksgiving Day food draft, all right? So me, Shane, and Austin, I'll tell you what the foods are here in just a second. We've each got a picnic table. You already got some brown gravy on the table. I thought about making us draft that too, but it's like, no. We're going to give them the gravy at least, okay? So we got a bunch of foods up here. We're going to take turns drafting. We'll draft about 4 things each, and then everything else just won't get drafted tonight. Over here in your meat section, you got the turkey, of course. Got to have that. After that, we got a good old ham sitting here. So for those whoever doesn't get the turkey, maybe you get the ham. This down here is a good old pork roast. So not everybody does pork roast on Thanksgiving, but hey, you got to have something. And then up here is your old lasagna. So for those of you who just love the pasta, love the lasagna, we got that too. That's your 4 meats. I like desserts, especially pies, so I threw in a bunch of them. Okay, so here we go. We got the pecan pie. Here's your sweet potato pie right here. Got a carrot cake for anybody likes that. Got another cheesecake right here. Right here's your apple pie. Of course, we got the crisscross stripes on top. Got your chocolate pie with, of course, the lemon meringue on top. Here's your pumpkin pie and some chocolate chip cookies if anybody just isn't in the mood for pie. I had to put in the cranberry sauce, even though I don't eat it. I'm sure at least one or both of you do, so we'll see who gets that. Right here is your green bean casserole for those of you who are in love with that. This right here is a little bit of mac and cheese in a black frying pan, which I'm not sure I've had before, but that sounds really good. And then for all the bread lovers out here, we got some dinner rolls as well. And then tucked in right under here, good old mashed potatoes. Got the corn on the cob. I'm probably going to draft that if one of y'all don't early on. And then this right here is your dressing. Okay, so for those of you that like the dressing, got that as well. At the end of this draft, I will find out from you guys if there's a food that should have been on here that wasn't, because I started with 40 and I had to cut it down to 19 because I just didn't have space on the screen. So, Austin, you always go second or last. I'm going to let you go first in this draft. We'll do a little bit of a state draft here, man. All right, so go ahead, take it away.
Okay, so there's no rule saying we have to have one of each of these, so I'm just gonna go
No,
4 desserts here.
that's all right. Do it.
No, not doing that. This is gonna be controversial, I know it, but I'm a controversial guy. Give me the dinner roll with the first overall pick. It is a crucial part of a Thanksgiving meal, in my opinion. I have to have dinner rolls because I'm the type of guy who likes to make a sandwich out of everything. So whatever meat I get, I don't care which one of the three I
Yep.
get, I'm making a sandwich out of it with my dinner rolls. And you can make any of the meats good when you make it into a sandwich. So that's the reasoning behind the first pick.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this generation doesn't eat as much bread as previous generations, but I'm a big time bread eater. I mean, I love it in all kinds of forms. So I'm feeling on that. Shane, what you want, man?
Yeah, I love Austin's point there. In my mind, not a controversial selection because I agree with them. If you have a good roll, and then the choices just multiply. And also, if you already have gravy, if you just had gravy in a roll, I probably could make a meal out of that for myself. Not that it'd be pleasant, but you could handle it. People would be looking
Bring
at
it
you.
on.
So for me, like Austin, for me the meat or the main course probably doesn't mean as much because we can kind of play around with that. But I would go with the stuffing or dressing, kind of depending on how you title it.
Yeah.
That's always been one of my favorites, kind of for the same way as Austin. I feel like you can mix anything with that stuffing, and to me, that's Thanksgiving. Because I could have a turkey at another point, I could have ham, I could have any of those other ones for another point, but I'm not really eating stuffing on a daily basis for any of my meals. So for me, that's always been one of the top choices for Thanksgiving.
I love the stuffing. I call it dressing on here because I'm not even sure what the right. I always call it stuffing myself. What I'm looking at here looks to me like stuffing, but maybe the proper term is dressing. I don't know, but it's really good. I didn't eat it as a kid, but as an adult, I started eating it and found some good people that knew how to make it. And boy, it's delicious. I even have it now when it's not Thanksgiving. I'll go to the store and buy one of those kind of quick stuffs, but it's not as good as when you're getting it on Thanksgiving Day and somebody's made it from scratch, of course. I'm going to go ahead and do what I said I was going to do and grab these corn on the cobs right here and put them on my table. I love corn on the cob, especially when it's got some good butter on it, got some good little bit of pepper on it. Roll it around a little bit. Man, you can put down 3 or 4 of them things pretty quick. They're not that filling either. That's the cool part, man. It's not filling like some foods are. Boy, you can pack that stuff away. I said it was going to be a snake draft. So I'm going to change my mind. Austin, I'm going to kick it back to you and give you another shot here. What you want?
Okay. Fine with me. I'm a man who I think Thanksgiving's all about the sides, in my opinion. I'm gonna keep delaying that meat pick. I'm fine with ended up getting any of them. So that'll probably be my last pick. But the next side I have to have is mac and cheese. I love me some mac and cheese. Give me that as my second pick.
Have y'all had mac and cheese in a iron skillet, black
I've
iron
had mac
skillet?
and cheese any way it could be created on this earth.
Okay. All right. The only thing I care about with my mac and cheese is if you're going to make it from scratch, brown on top. It's got to be brown on top. If it ain't brown on top, don't pull it out of the oven. It ain't ready yet. But other than that, I'll eat it any way you fix it. Shane, what else is looking good here?
Okay, I'm gonna go right for the danger zone, like Austin said. I think it's always the accoutrements that are the bigger part for me. And I'm gonna go with apple pie. For dessert, it's always been one of my favorites. It's one of those desserts. My grandmother made an excellent apple pie. My family has always measured other people's apple pies against it. So it's one of those things where you kind of I won't say you rushed through your meal, but when you were a kid, you definitely were like, I'm gonna eat whatever they put on my plate, just so I get a chance to get to this apple pie. So I'm not a huge dessert guy, so that says quite a bit. But apple pie for me always is a touchstone for your dessert choice.
I don't know if this is a nationwide thing or not, but in this region of the country, pies have taken a back seat for the past 20 years. Just less and less and less, fewer of them, and cakes are everywhere, man. And I'm in favor of pies making a big comeback here. I need a whole lot
Preach,
more
brother.
pies in my life and fewer cakes. I mean, I don't know about y'all. I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it's like cakes for everybody's birthday, everybody's anniversary, every Sunday dinner. It's just always cake everywhere, and the pies have just disappeared. I don't know, man. When I was a kid growing up, you would see pies everywhere. So I'm all about the pies. And that's where I'm going to go too, man. I'm actually going to go ahead and grab this pumpkin pie right here. I love pumpkin pie almost any way you can fix it. Make sure you keep that crust a little thin. Don't give me too thick a crust on that. But pumpkin pie, it's kind of hard to mess up the pumpkin pie. Always really good. So that's what I'm going to go with. Austin, we're back to you. Your third pick.
See, I was gonna go. Those are my next. Those are my picks next. I wanted pumpkin pie first, and then apple pie next. Okay, I think I push back on the dessert, grab that last. Like it comes in the meal, and I go ahead and grab the main course. And while I do absolutely love me some ham, it is Thanksgiving. It has to be turkey the first meat taken off the board. So I'm gonna go ahead and that's my sandwich right there. I'm just gonna take a roll, cut it, open it up, put a layer of mac and cheese, put a layer of turkey on it, and then just cover it in gravy. And then that is my meal.
Cool.
And then the dessert comes after.
Goodness gracious. You still got some good desserts. I know you missed your top two desserts, but you got it's a deep draft for
it
desserts.
is.
Okay?
Yeah, that's why I delayed it.
Yes. There's good depth here on the dessert side of things in this particular draft. You got a good solid bill over here, Austin. I mean, there's nothing on here I don't like. Okay, Shane, I think we're back to you for your third pick.
Okay, I'm gonna follow Austin's prescribed drafting selections. Like you said, I like ham. That's normally like a brunch morning meal, not really a dinner meal for my family. So I'm gonna go with the pork roast. I think it's a great choice. And everything that Austin mentioned, that's a great sandwich, pork roast with a little bit of stuffing, and then gravy, a solid roll. I'm having not only a great first meal, but a continuous great second meal because I feel like the things that I've drafted, I can come back to the next day and still be happy with those.
Oh heck yeah, man! For about 5 or 6 days, if you're keeping them in a refrigerator, boy, I can keep coming back to this stuff here. Oh, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. I can't wait. So I'm actually going to go grab these mashed potatoes myself. I love mashed potatoes. I can eat them by themselves, but I got the brown gravy sitting here, so I'm cooking with gas here. I've got my corn on the cob, my mashed potatoes and gravy. I've got the dessert already. I'll grab a meat here in a second, I guess, if there's still one left. But man, I love mashed potatoes and gravy. Austin, your final pick.
Oh, listen, I'll be honest, I'm a cookie guy, but Thanksgiving is not the cookie holiday. Like it's just not. Like you need a pie on Thanksgiving. I think that's just necessary. There's another dessert type that wasn't included here that I want to mention though afterwards. But I'm gonna go pecan pie, just a classic Thanksgiving pie. Hey, get that away from his. Hey.
Oh,
hey.
I got it on the table. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Austin.
Hey. Yeah, I gotta watch it. He already mentioned stealing my roles too. So like I mean
yes, he did. I will be over y'all's tables too, by the way. So good at everybody's table. Shade, what else looks good here?
Okay, so I feel like Austin's already mentioned sometimes you just have to pick things that scream Thanksgiving to you. So for me, I'm gonna go with the cranberry sauce. I eat it. I don't have any problem with it. This cranberry sauce, you can see that's that like straight out of the can. cut it with your fork style. I feel though like it would normally be it's that undrafted pick that kind of comes out, has a couple of great catches. It's a Julian Edelman
Yes.
of meal choices here. And I think he has a big game for Thanksgiving. I also think like as you're a kid, that's one of those meals where you're kind of like, hey, I've never seen this before. We'll give it a try. I'm the northerner out of the bunch, so I feel like cranberry sauce is a northern choice for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who are religious about the cranberry sauce. They prefer the can though. Shane, for you, the cranberry sauce, do you care out of the can or kind of more of like the lumpy mix?
Well, like you said, I feel like the traditional. It's odd that you would say like the traditional style is the one that comes in a can as opposed to the one that's prepared.
Right.
But yeah, there's something iconic about that. Like you said, it just kind of comes out of the can. It's one of those foods like spam is the same way. Like it's in your head no matter what it might be mixed in with. You always still think of it coming out of the can looking just in that solid form and block. So for me, cranberry sauce has always been that. I've had, homemade and like cranberry compo where it's kind of just thrown together. Still delicious. I like cranberries as they are. Love the craisins, but it's got to be out of the can, gelatinous, and just sitting there ready for somebody to take the first slice.
Yeah, most people I know who care for cranberry sauce, they want it straight out of the can. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this ham over here, and if Austin's not looking, I'm gonna go grab some of those biscuits and use that for sandwiches later. Not during the day necessarily, but tonight, tomorrow, the next day, I'm gonna be getting some ham biscuits, ham rolls here to go along with my other stuff. Nobody took green bean casserole.
Yeah,
Not
that's shocking.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I thought, that would have been my third side choice. I got my top two. That would have been my third, but I already grabbed two. No need to grab a third.
All right. Shane, obviously I had to cut out 21 items. What should have been on here that wasn't?
Oof. This right here would be a full meal for me. I mean, looking around at what you had, I was surprised. I'll tell you one item that we have in ours a lot that I enjoy is cream spinach. That is a go-to for me. I feel like, a lot of the ones you probably eliminated are on the vegetable end, which
Right.
I mean, as a real meal champion, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people turn in for the vegetables. Corn on the cob is not one that I've had before as a Thanksgiving meal. I love corn on the cob, so I thought that was an excellent choice out of you. But
yeah, I'll list off some of the things I left off. But Austin, real quick, man, what did we not have on here?
Obviously the picture background, lots of green, but not a single green on here. I'm with Shane, some sort of spinach. My favorite green is broccoli. I love broccoli and cheese. Like you can make it into a casserole or just straight up regular broccoli and cheese. But that's one of my favorite sides. And then I had to mention for desserts. Why are cobblers a bigger thing? I love a cobbler. Peach, blueberry, apple, like I'll take all of them. Give me a cobbler over a cake any day of the week.
Agreed, man. Give me all the cobblers over cakes. Yes, cobbler pie, either one. Give them to me over the cakes. I don't hate cake. I like cake. But
cake's
too much
fine.
cake, man. Yeah. Green beans was a hard one to leave off for me. That was the last. And then peas as well. That was a tough leave off. But I had to leave off something. I thought somebody would take the green bean casserole. Nobody did. So
yeah, see, that's a no fly zone for me. It's one of those things where I like the items by themselves, but that casserole is not my choice. Like you said, like green beans, I love green beans. I'm even okay with like the onion topping, that's inside green bean casserole on some other things. But it was never big in my family. And then probably with it not being big, I've had it at some other times where it just didn't meet didn't meet up there. It's not worth the space that it was taking on my plate, where you can make another decision. It's all about figuring out your plate and that type of space. So, I mean, if you're going to make it on that first run, then you've got to be an outstanding meal choice in my mind.
Yeah, I'm the same way, Austin.
I'll go ahead and out myself here. I don't like corn. I don't think corn tastes good. And a lot of green bean casseroles have corn in them. If you find me one without corn in it, I am 100% all the way in. And I'll still eat it with corn in it. I don't like hate corn or anything, but it's just not something I care for. And so usually it detracts from the green bean casserole a bit for me.
I'll do the same thing here. I love green beans, love them. I could eat just a whole bowl of green beans for a meal sometimes, but I don't like green beans mixed with other things. To me, I just don't enjoy that. I don't like green beans in a pot pie. I don't like green beans in a soup. I don't like green beans in a casserole. It's just not my thing. So I like the green beans by themselves, mixing all the other vegetables. We're all a little different. Let's go to our final 60. Mine's going to be another guessing game for you guys, but Shane, I'll let you start off with your final 60 first.
My final 60 this week, I think, kind of plays into the way everyone thinks about this time of year. With Thanksgiving, another great reminder, depending on how much everyone gets to see their family. For me, Ben and I talked about this before the show started, but a chance to see my wife's family, who we're a little bit of a distance away from, and be part of that celebration, and just, happy to have another year down and another time to see family, be around them, and enjoy all that comes with that.
I get to stay home this year for Thanksgiving. A lot of people come to my place, so I get to eat. I get to watch football. I can turn on my TV and watch football if I want. If I want to go out and take a walk in the woods, I can. So Thanksgiving's going to be awesome for me. It always is, but it's going to be fun this year too. Austin, final 60.
My final 60 is I just, again, on the Thanksgiving trend, to new friends. This has been a fun year for me. I've made a lot of people I would consider like new friends, and that goes out to both, although I've known you for a little bit longer, Ben, but this is, Shane and I just sort of kind of getting to know each other a little bit, even though it's strictly on an online basis. I would still consider you a couple friends of mine, but yeah, this has been a fun year of meeting new people, and I'm thankful for just getting the opportunity and for challenging myself to go out and make friends with some new people. Being in a state that I'm not from, I found it challenging the first couple of years, and I really made an effort this year to make some new friends, and I feel like I've done that.
I agree. Listen. Yeah, it's tough getting out in a new place where you really don't know too many people, especially this day and age. People like to kind of hunker down. I mean, it's not easy all the time to just meet people, make friends. So that's awesome. My final 60 is still going to be on the Thanksgiving theme, but it's going to be our guessing game, another guessing game here. I've got four of the pretty good running backs sitting up here. I'll find a place for this. I don't know where I'm going to put you. All right, here. I'll cover up part of Walter. So I've got Emmitt Smith up here. I've got Barry Sanders, Tony Dorsett, Walter Payton. All four of them would have played a good bit on Thanksgiving Day, of course. The Lions, of course, and Cowboys playing every Thanksgiving Day. And the Bears playing the Lions and sometimes the Cowboys, too, on Thanksgiving Day as well. One of these running backs, one of them on Thanksgiving Day, just on Thanksgiving Day in his career, had 1,178 rushing yards, all of his Thanksgiving appearances combined, which is the leader in the group of all time, all running backs. And this same somebody also has the career record for running backs with 13 rushing touchdowns on Thanksgiving Day appearances. So the same guy holds both records. I'm going to let y'all work separately on this, and y'all make either the same pick or different picks, and see if y'all can guess who it is between these four all-time NFL running backs. Shane, I'll let you go first, man.
Okay, so I will say probably the one that I loved watching the most is Barry Sanders during these Thanksgiving games. The Lions were generally not good, and he was the only offense to speak of. But as far as rushing total, and especially when I look at the touchdowns, I think this one is probably Emmitt Smith. I mean, just a powerful run for the Cowboys. I just see Moose Johnson and the offensive line punishing people. And I know I always, when it was John Madden and he had like the 14-legged turkey, I just always remember seeing like Larry Allen and Leon Lett and some of those offensive linemen getting to enjoy it. So I would think it's Emmitt Smith. I mean, that's a great running back list right here for any day at any time. But I think Emmitt Smith is the leader in the clubhouse for this one.
Austin, Shane's got Emmitt. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I was hoping he would go another way. I think Walter Payton might sneakily have it, but I mean, when you first look at this list, I mean, Emmitt Smith just kind of jumped off the page at me. Just knowing like when his years were, how good the teams he was on were, and everything about, you know, Barry Sanders' career not being as long. I'm pretty sure it was a little bit shorter, so just less Thanksgiving Day games, I would have to imagine. So yeah, I'm also going to go Emmitt Smith.
I think I would have gotten this right. And I don't have who second, third, and fourth is. I don't have all the stats. I just have the leader, so I apologize. But you guys both nailed it. It is Emmitt Smith. I think the touchdowns was the key here because he's at one point, I guess he still is, NFL touchdown leader. I don't know if someone's overtaking him or not. But, yeah, so many big-time Thanksgiving days. And Barry Sanders had a few as well, but Emmitt just was behind that offensive line. Incredible. Quite a running back group there, as Shane mentioned. All right. Shane, Austin, any final thoughts before we close it down?
No, like I said, really, like Austin mentioned, a joy to be on with you guys, and to get to know you both a little bit more. As Austin said, like obviously far distance apart, but the online relationship and the opportunity to talk at least every Tuesday about the sports world, something I love. So a happy Thanksgiving to all, and thanks for joining us on another Tuesday.
Austin?
That's it. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. We'll get back. This was kind of a light thing. We'll get back into some more deeper, serious NFL stuff next week. We'll appreciate it. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Have a great one, everybody. Bye.